First, thanks to Logos for providing this resource, and to Baker Academic for publishing it. So, Bonhoeffer the Assassin. Bonhoeffer, as many of you know, has gotten somewhat a reception of late, especially in evangelical Christianity in the American church for some reason. I'm not sure they see the hypocrisy of supporting both the war effort and Dietrich Bonhoeffer, but that could just be something I'm missing. I don't see the connection, but who knows. So there is a problem with Bonhoeffer. The problem is this. He reportedly participated in a plot to kill Hitler. And given that Anabaptist, Mennonites, and other pacifist Christianities kind of support Bonhoeffer as the prophet of pacifism, it's difficult to reconcile that. Now, I have no issue with that. I think that anytime you don't wrestle with your theological underpinnings or even your own arguments, then you are essentially a fundamentalist, and that's never good for anybody, is it? And so I don't really want to talk much about the book. I didn't find the book all that persuasive. I think that they are trying to displace memory, especially by the students of Bonhoeffer. I'm not talking about like disciples. I'm talking about like Eberhard Beetger, who reported the story from memory, granted decades later, but they're trying to replace this with the expectation of the theology they desire Bonhoeffer to have. As a side note, this is a very interesting play, how we have Bonhoeffer the assassin, Bonhoeffer the pacifist, and we discard the memory of the one who heard the story firsthand from Bonhoeffer and replace it with the disciples who are, well, quite simply far, far removed from Bonhoeffer himself. I think that this is an exercise that students of historical Jesus could use. Essentially, they discount memory, they supplant it with a theological expectation. And because of that, it's difficult to accept their arguments. They're not basing it on historical instance. For instance, when you have these conversations of Bonhoeffer that's being reported about Bonhoeffer, they say, well, maybe he was just providing pastoral care. And they challenge the fact that since we were not inside the room, we should not make any judgments about what Bonhoeffer was actually feeling or desiring to do. So it's a little bit of a circular argument. It's a well-written circular argument, but when you want to argue from silence, then what you want is what we want, to overrule the reasonable plausibility that Dietrich was in fact part of the resistance movement to the point of organizing an attempt or even just simply participating in an attempt to kill Hitler. And I don't think anybody can deny that that is a reasonable goal. So, one of the things I wanted to do was take this time to really show some of the benefits of having it in Logos versus, say, Kindle or even hard copy. Now, I like the electronic versions. I like my Kindle and I like iBooks, not so much. And Inkling is really coming along well. But Logos has something that I think that really helps with connecting all of the resources that we have. Now, I don't have the complete Bonhoeffer set from Logos, and that's fine. So I expect a lot of my footnotes to be well tracked. But it provides other things. For instance, the timeline. Timeline feature, so you can kind of keep track of where you're going, what we're doing, things like that. All right, so just kind of wanted to take you through. See, every time you see a date, this timeline will be there. Now, eventually you can make your own timeline. I'm not sure I want to make a timeline that's centered just on the introduction of Bonhoeffer, but you get the point. You know, part of the beauty of the book is that it does pay a significant attention to the way that Bonhoeffer is presented. And it's written not And unfortunately, it's written in such a way as to absolve him of participation in the Hitler thing, assassination plot, I guess. But it really is written almost as a love letter to Bonhoeffer. Just kind of wanted to get you to... So you can see the timeline gets pretty intense when you start to dig deep into the timelines itself. Again, one of the things that I like is not only do you have a timeline that connects you, so you're building this timeline, you're building a timeline, maybe you're studying mid-20th century Christianity. Well, you're going to start to build this timeline, right? Now, or you just want to get to the footnotes. Well, there you go. So, Beetker is mentioned. Now, unfortunately, they don't really quite pay attention always to Beetker, but that's fine. Again, that's part of the story itself. So again, what you have, and of course you can highlight. Now, this goes in, I can copy, I can paste, and that's part of the Logos thing, right? So you can share your highlights and your notes all the way across the spectrum. Not only that, it's really nice when you want to go ahead and copy and paste into different part of the program. I really should highlight the whole thing and keep it, shouldn't I? See? That, by the way, having the page number, having an honest to goodness real page number is so significantly an improvement upon what goes on in Kindle. As you can see, the footnotes itself, or I'm sorry, the bibliography is quite extensive. And so, and by the way, you can actually copy, as you can see, you can copy this to your system and paste a footnote. Ain't that awesome? This is part of the power of the Logos Bible software program. So again, the book is going to benefit those who want to see Bonhoeffer as free from being an assassin, a man who did not violate his own ethics. The system itself is going to benefit every student of Scripture, of Christian history, and as Logos moves on, even into American history and into the classics.